Hi, it's Majin. Time for some comic reviews. We have Superman, Batman, Earth 2, Arkham, X-Men, Punisher, Warriors, Magneto. So let's get right with it. Superman, Batman, Annual. Now this one, when I first opened the page, this really made me feel uncomfortable. To me, when you look at the expression, it looked like they were having this weird sex thing going on. And I kind of did this, and then I read that. But afterwards, I did get back to reading this, and this is where I'm really torn, because now I do like uh, Jay Lee's art. I think his art's really good. It's very stylistic. It's very polarizing, and I really can go through this and I can pick apart. Okay, this panel's good. That panel is just bad, and I think when you combine this with this actual story, Um, like Greg Pak's story is really good. I mean, because it's basically Mongrel's son comes to the Earth, and then they're vying for power for war world type thing, and there's a gladiatorial combat. So I think all that part was really cool. It's very interesting. Like Batman, and Superman to get teams, and I enjoyed all of that. But for me, at least, I can't help but think how this would have looked with a totally different artist, somebody who was a little bit more traditional. Because I think in this case, a more traditional artist would have really hit this thing out of the park. But like I said, but with Jay Lee's art, I think I think he was able to do certain things that a traditional artist couldn't do. So for that part, that's why I'm really torn with this. Did I enjoy it though? I enjoyed the book, except for Crypto looks like a wolf and it keeps getting bigger and more fiercer. So I don't know about what's going on with that. But overall, are you gonna like this? Everything's gonna hinge on this artwork. I can guarantee you. If you can't stand Jay Lee, I would just pass. If you're looking for something just to pass the time with, yeah, and you have an extra, what, $50, $6. All right, for $6, you might want to move on. But it was a decent read. Okay, next up is Earth 2, Shattered Fate. Oh man, from the very beginning, this really caught my interest. Basically, the evil Superman fights Mr. Adam here, and things do not go well for our hero. I was like, oh my goodness. And, the rest of the book is basically the heroes are trying to plan and work things out. I liked the interaction between Jimmy Olsen and Aquawoman. That part was really good. And I'm really starting to look forward to seeing what's going to happen in that very next issue, because it's going to be a smackdown. There is a little political thing going on, because basically what's going on is um, the Earth governments are like, oh man, it's time to leave. So they pack as many of the 1% into these rocket ships as they can, this rocket ship to escape. So these are the top CEOs, the politicians, things like that. And they don't meet a very happy fate. And now, under normal circumstances, I would say it's not really political, because that's what I actually can see this scenario play out, and it has played out in other stories. But the fact that they mentioned the 1%, that's why I was saying it's a little bit more political based. But that was still fine, because I believe that all of that was within the realm of believability. Even though I really loved Robinson's writing on this book, I don't think his departure really hurt this, which is really surprising, and I'm really enjoying Earth 2, and I still think this is probably one of the strongest DC books, because it doesn't have to worry about continuity. It can pave new ground, and it's been entertaining so far. Arkham War number 6. Technically, this should have been one of the bads, but the only reason why I saved it was because the only really good part was watching the hulked up villains fighting. Now, I'm going to tell you this right off the bat. There is absolutely nothing original and nothing that will make you go, oh, wow, I never saw that coming. But seeing this fight was actually pretty good, so that's the only thing that saved it. It ends exactly how you kind of expect it to. Part of me though wishes it had a different ending, but it's Bane. You got to have Bane beat everybody, and then eventually you're gonna have the face-off between Bane and Batman. To reclaim Gotham, which makes you wonder too. Is like, why does everybody want Gotham? That's a run-down, dirty old dark place. Go somewhere else, like L.A. There's no superheroes in L.A., and at least you got supermodels. I never understood that. Okay, Uncanny X-Men number 18. Now, I really enjoyed Rudy's artwork on the Spider-Man Marvel Knights, but it really was very much distracting in this issue here. Now, well, I am going to start talking a little bit negative on the artwork. What I will say is I loved the optic blast part, the way he used the optic blast to break up the panels. That part was great. I enjoyed it. But this is an issue where it's taking place over time. So what's happening is you get now that last week, forever ago, present, and it's like it's jumping around a little bit. And so when you have a non-traditional uh, panel scheme, it kind of a little bit gets distracting, just a little bit. The other part is I think there's times where I'm like looking at Kitty Pryde and I can't even recognize that's Kitty Pryde. And I think that's a problem right there. Basically, this is an issue where they're settling a lot of the backstory, because this is when the or I should say the young X-Men appear for the first time. It's dealing with Kitty and Cyclops, and then it has a little bit of interaction between Cyclops and Cyclops. So that's kind of like what it is. And it's basically these guys going, well, we have to go save the young X-Men. And the last page was actually pretty good, but then I'm like going, you're depowered. So how can you do that? So I don't know. I have mixed feelings on this, but I enjoyed the spirit of the book, but there was too much distraction. I love the cover though. Cover was very, very strong. Punisher number 3. This is another one of those books that I was like, this could have been book of the week easily. This really set the stage for a really good battle between Punisher and Electro. You have a little bit more dealings with the drug guy, and even the little what battle there was between the Punisher and Electro was for the most part at least interesting, because it always kept me going, what's going to happen? And then the end part, the shootout was fantastic, and in my head I can kind of picture it as a movie playing out, so I enjoyed that. The art's been fantastic. This has been one of my surprise books of the new Marvel Now relaunch. I understand that She-Hulk is also supposed to be really good, but I can only buy so many books. And unless there's somebody punching something on a regular basis, it's kind of hard for me to justify that purchase. I wanted to get Moon Knight, but my store didn't have Moon Knight, so that I heard also was supposed to be really strong. But this is really good. If you have not bought the first 2 issues of The Punisher, I would highly recommend going to your comic book store and buying it now before issue 4 comes out, and then it becomes harder to find number 1. Very enjoyable. New Warriors, for me, it's basically playing it safe, which is, for the most part, okay with me for right now. Because this is the time where you have to introduce all the characters, and it looks like there's a lot of characters to introduce to this thing. Now, if you remember these guys were in the X-Men. They were basically gonna save the mutants, and then the X-Men betrayed them, and now they're just on a mad tear to kill everything type of a situation. So they're going around, they're collecting DNA and stuff from the different people, and high evolutionaries involved in this. And I just still don't know why. I mean, I know why they did it, but man, Speedball needs to become Penance again, because he was badass as Penance, and now he's just a regular goofy kid again, with no memory of what he went through, which is a shame. But anyways, overall, for me, it's an enjoyable read, but it's not what I would consider a top 10 book yet. But, I understand what the problem Yost has is, how are you going to bring this team together, a team of, like, some established characters, some relatively new, some probably never been heck, some of these characters I haven't really even seen before. So it's like one of those situations where you got to be careful because you have to bring everybody up to speed at the same time. So he's definitely has some challenges, but I'm enjoying it. I like the premise of having the new Warriors back, even though I know it's gonna probably only last 24 issues and they're gonna cancel it, just like all the other new Warriors series, because it never lasts. But for at least right now, I'm on board. But but it's definitely not a top 10 book. This was phenomenal. This, to me, would have been my #1 good book of the week. But I, even though I really love this, I was like, Forever Evil really probably deserved it for this week. This Magneto is on a hunt for people who are killing mutants. And he is acting like he does not have a power problem. This part was awesome right here, where you get the talking about, the we'll just call him the Starbucks coffee guy, and he's describing the scene where Magneto walks into the coffee shop, extracts the fillings from somebody, and then replaces them with something else. I was like, oh, this is not the Magneto that I know and remember from at least the somewhat recent times. This is the Magneto of old school, of I am going to kick some ass, and I'm not even going to bother taking your name because you're not even worth taking it. That's what I really, really was on board on this. The art, I think, is really good. The story, the ending to the story was, it definitely set it up for something big to happen, and I'm really looking forward to reading this. If you have not bought Magneto #1, I would highly recommend going out and buying Magneto #1. This was a I swear to you, I would have written this book off. I would have given this thing no credit whatsoever because I'm like, it's another offshoot. But I bought it. Freaking awesome. This is a 9 or possibly even 10 out of 10 book, especially for something like this. Fantastic job. Anyways, that's my pull list, so let me get you some codes. I'll get you a code for this one first. And there's some really good scenes like that, too. Just #1. I'll get you a new warrior code. And I'll get you one more. Anyways, like and share. Let me know what you guys think of the new Magneto and Punisher, New Mutants. Crunchyroll anime reviews right there. Facebook link. We'll have more reviews and stuff later. So until next time.